Good morning, and how are you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks so much, Joe, for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Yes, can you start off by telling us, me, the people watching, what your name is and what your business is?
Yeah, I'm Christina Williams, and I have Christina Williams Consulting, a marketing and PR firm right here in Fort Smith.
Okay, and are you from here?
I am not from here.
Okay.
I am originally from Russellville, Arkansas, which is just right down the road towards Little Rock. I grew up there. I was adopted from India when I was a baby.
Okay.
And so I was adopted at about 14 months old, and I lived in Russellville, ever since I was adopted.
Have you had a chance to go back to India?
I
since
haven't.
then?
I haven't.
You
I
want
would
to?
I would like to. Yes,
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
at some point I would like to go back, maybe with my son one day.
Oh,
Would be
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
neat.
Okay.
But
So one kid?
One kid. I have one kid.
Okay,
So
okay.
he's a toddler right now.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we're in that fun stage.
So when did marketing start for you? Like, what was the
Yeah.
first time?
So I went to Russellville, of course, grew up there. I went to Arkansas Tech University. That's where I got my bachelor's, and I stayed on for 2 more years because I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I got a degree in journalism with a PR emphasis. And then after that, I stayed on for multimedia master's degree. And that was great. I really enjoyed being a part of that community, part of Arkansas Tech. And that's really where the marketing started for me. I kind of figured out, I'm kind of good at social media and I'm kind of good at these things. I'm going to go pursue a career in that. And so what got me over here to Fort Smith from that and actually into a job in marketing is that my husband got a job at UAFS.
Okay.
And so we were married. He got a job at UAFS. And then we actually spent a summer apart where we were married, but I moved back in with my parents because he was up here in Fort Smith working and I was still finishing my master's degree. And so I found a job at ArcBest, and that was my first kind of entry into marketing, was doing copywriting for UPAC, which is the moving company that ArcBest owns.
Oh, okay. Okay. So let's go back a little bit. So
Yeah.
you said when you were in school, that's kind of when you got the idea. What were you specifically doing? Were these like class projects that you were working on? Were they
Right.
more community?
Right. So in school, whenever I was working on, I first was in nursing. That was my first major that I went after, and I got into it and I was like, I don't think this is my passion. I don't think I could work in a hospital. And so I thought, what do I like to do? I like to write. And so I just went right into journalism. I knew I didn't want to do broadcast and I knew I didn't want to do print. Thankfully, the college had a PR option. And once I got into it, I was kind of doing poorly on my grades in nursing. But then once I got into the journalism PR emphasis, I started making A's, and it just kind of came easy and natural to me. Mm-hmm. And so I was working on doing campaigns, and I got to work with the Russellville Police Department there and did a lot of work for them on their marketing and social media.
Yeah.
So those are the kind of classes that I was doing primarily.
Okay. Okay. And then now being on the other side of it all, do you wish that you would have maybe chose something a little bit different, or are you really happy with what you chose? What I mean by that is, like, for instance, we were just talking right before about how my wife has a graphic design degree,
Right.
but now on the other side of the degree, she maybe wishes that she would have done a different degree.
Right.
Not maybe necessarily like a completely, like it's not within the same category, but there's a bunch of different degrees that you can do. So what do you think?
Absolutely. So for me, I love that I chose the PR emphasis. I really feel like that's my strength, something I'm really good at. One thing that I wish I would have done while I was in school is added on a graphic design degree just right on to it, just tacked it on. Because I think that between design and then PR and doing websites and all of those things, I could have added that skill set on, and it would have helped me even more starting out into, getting into marketing.
Yes, yes. Okay, what about business? Like maybe like a minor in business? And the reason why I say that is
that's a
too,
good
a lot
idea.
of people think that they're going to just go out and get a job, doing it. They never think, what if I have my own business?
Right.
And when it comes to like owning your own business, you're actually doing more the business part than you are the actual job. So what do you think?
Yeah, 100%. So I did not I wasn't in college and thinking I would ever have my own business. I always thought that was for other people. Like, I didn't know that was a thing that I could go do. And so my mindset was, I just need to go find a job in marketing and build my skill set and build my experience. And so that's kind of what I did for, 20 12 all the way through, when I founded my business in 2022. That's what I was doing, was just building my skill set and building my experience. And, looking back, hindsight, if I knew this is what I was going to do for a living, then I absolutely would have wanted to add on a business degree, because that absolutely is the business aspect to owning your own business. You're the business owner.
What have you done to figure out how to run your business?
Right. So talk to people and get advice.
Yeah.
So I hired an accountant, and that was the biggest thing. One of the biggest things for me. I hired an accountant locally, and she does my personal taxes, but she also does my business taxes. It really helped me find savings, tax savings, and I pay myself. I pay a payroll. I pay into my retirement. And then I, of course, pay my business taxes every month. And so by the end of the year, it's not, just this huge thing that I'm having to pay off, because I'm paying it monthly. I also, I established my LLC, and through my lawyer, I did that. And then I just tried to surround myself with business owners and other people in the community that I could glean from, and really try to understand, how do I make my business work? A lot of it was just trial and error for me. But having tools and systems in place, like my Asana to keep me organized, and my QuickBooks, and having my bank, my business separated from my checking and my personal and all of that, it's just things I knew I had to go do. And that's kind of the business side of just getting my business put together.
Yes.
That.
Okay.
And learning that.
Yeah. Okay. So then let's go into like the nitty gritty, and let's talk about what you actually do and what you offer to your clients here.
Yeah.
So, and before we actually do that, who was your first client?
Yeah. So my first client was actually the city of Fort Smith.
Okay.
So what was neat about this, having them on board as a client, is that they had an open position for a PR manager, which we now know Josh is the PR manager at the city. While they were trying to find that next person for that role, I came in an interim capacity as the PR manager. The website needed to cross the finish line and, just keep the pulse going on social media. So I came in and worked on that with the city. And that was my very first client, was the city of Fort Smith, which is a huge client and still a client today.
Okay.
I proudly, represent them and support the communications office there.
Yeah.
So,
okay. So now let's go into what you actually do.
Yeah. So what I actually do,
Yeah.
I support municipalities. So I get to work not only with the city, but police department. I work with a couple agencies out of Little Rock. I also work with school districts. So, when there's a crisis, a lot of times school districts need someone in their back pocket to say, hey, this is happening on my campus. I need a statement. I've got media asking me and needing a statement right away. Can you provide that? Yeah, I'll whip one up for you right away. I will even go on camera for media or for the school districts to do media interviews if they need that work. I also build websites and do social media audits, and then I teach Canva classes as well.
Oh, that's cool.
I do kind of a lot of different things. I always thought I have a really wide skill set. So when I entered my business, I thought I'm going to pick, the things that I really want to go do and hone in on those things, but still keep my skill set diversified.
Okay. So if someone's going to work with you, what do they need to know about you that you think sets you apart?
Right. So for me, I'm very straightforward. You're not gonna get the runaround. Having integrity is really important to me. Honesty and just transparency is also very important to me. And so I look for that. I know my clients are looking for that, but I also look for that in my clients. So when I sit down with someone and I have a consultation, you're vetting me as much as I'm vetting you, because I really want to make sure that we're a good fit working together. And so what sets me apart is just really, it's a straightforward approach. It's a trusted partner, and you get me one-on-one, and I'm yours, and we're going to work together to solve the problem.
Yeah. Okay. So I've heard a couple of things that you've said as you've been talking, these little tools that you have in your tool belt.
Yeah.
And I'm curious about what all your tools look like. So like, for instance, you said like, I teach Canva classes, but I also do website development. I also do obviously all the PR and writing and all those different things. So what all tools do you have in there? And even more specifically, you were talking about like you have QuickBooks to help you keep organized. You have Asana. Just lay it all out.
Yeah. So I use ChatGPT.
Okay.
I have a subscription to ChatGPT. I'm using QuickBooks to, of course, keep up with all of my finances, invoices, all of those things. And then my accountant has access to it, so she's able to go in and, if I have an issue, she can go fix it right away. I do my own bookkeeping, and that makes, because I really don't have a whole lot of expenses coming out every month, and so it makes it easy for me to just go in and apply what the category is. I also have ChatGPT, QuickBooks, Asana. I could not do my business without Asana, I don't feel like, because it is my task management. Every morning I look and see what's in for today, what's next up, and what's on the backlog. I even have a waiting to hear back list. So if someone says they're going to get back with me, you go on the waiting to hear back list. And then I have my 3 follow-up rule that I use. And then I use a platform called Honeybook, and it's essentially to manage all of my contracts. So my clients can sign digitally with me and review all of the full contract before they sign with me. And then once we sign, we both sign digitally, and it becomes legally binding.
Okay.
From that point on.
Yes.
And then I use Canva, of course, every single day to not only do work for my clients, but also train.
Yes. Okay. And then with ChatGPT, do you feel like you're going to be out of a job soon for your PR? Like when someone comes to you and they say, "Hey, I need a statement." Yeah. Do you think ever, anytime soon, ChatGPT will be a competitor of yours in that space?
I think in a sense, yes, it can be. So anyone can go on into ChatGPT and they can ask the question or say, "I need this. I've got X amount this happening at my school district. I need the response." Right? They get that response, but it's that human eye to it that makes all the difference in knowing, is this going to land with the media or your stakeholders at your school, or is this going to fall flat? And that's just something ChatGPT can't tell you. And so when I go into ChatGPT, especially if I'm working on a statement, I will write the statement out first using my own head and my own brain.
Yeah.
And then I'll go into ChatGPT and I'll just say, what can be better about this statement? Other times, even, putting the statement aside, when I start a new chat, I'll always assign it a personality, and I'll always give it a profession as well. And that really helps to set the stage for the prompt that I want and making sure that I'm getting what I want out of that platform.
Yeah. Have you played with the bot training yet?
No, not yet.
Okay, you should look into that, because basically what that is you can make they're called GPTs.
Yeah.
So you can make your own GPT and you can train it on material so that you don't have to tell ChatGPT who it is every time, who to respond as. So for instance, like for this podcast, I shared this recently on social media, but I trained a GPT and it's called Pod AI. I think you can find it on the market. It's completely free. But basically what it does is it will take this interview and my editor, like my platform that I edit video with, it will export a transcript of the entire video from here. And then I take that document, upload it into ChatGPT, into my Pod AI GPT. Then from there, it's going to do a series of different tasks automatically. So I don't even have to ask it to do this. So what it'll do is it'll summarize the entire episode. If you set a link to like your website, your social media, it'll tag that in the description as well. It'll also give me all the relevant tags to tag to YouTube so that it can be best for SEO. Nice. It'll also give me 20 title ideas. It'll give me like 20 ideas for text within the thumbnail. Okay. And then it will also give me all the short form videos I need to cut. Cool. So basically it's saving me like, I don't know, for me to have to go through and do that every time, it may take me, that's 20 minutes maybe of just going back and forth asking it for that specific information. And then having it try to give it back to me in a certain way. But GPTs are free, especially if you have the
paid
account.
Version. The paid version.
You can just make a GPT. But if you don't have a paid account, I think you can just use GPTs for free. So you should make your own GPT.
That's a pro tip. I'm gonna have to have you show me how to do that.
Name it You should name it your business, so then everyone can find a GPT and use it for copywriting for the social media post.
Oh, that's a good idea. Thank you. I'm going to take that.
You can sell it.
I'm going to take that.
That's funny. Okay.
That's awesome.
Okay, so then Asana, you said you're really into Asana and you mainly use it for tasks?
Yes, I mainly use it for, just task management of all the things that I need to go do. Have an ideas project where I'm putting all my ideas. I do a podcast as well. It's not like this setup, but I do a podcast where I interview Fort Smith leaders. It's called Fort Smith Proud, and so I have a project just for Fort Smith Proud that I'm working through as well. So,
have you heard of Notion?
Yes, I've liked Notion.
Okay.
I've tried Notion. I just find Asana for my brain is better for my brain.
Yeah, it's different for everyone. I have a friend who also happens to be a woman, and she owns her own business, and she likes Asana better too. I love ChatGPT. I mean, not ChatGPT. I love Notion because not only do you get the reminders, the calendar, but it's just like a good note-taking app.
Yeah.
Organizing. I do budgeting in there. I can do sheets. The only thing I don't like about really all these apps is that they don't integrate well with other platforms as well. So what I mean is, like, for instance, I'm sure you've experienced this. A lot of the people at the City of Fort Smith or the Visitors Bureau, they all work out of Google Docs. And so you can't natively type within those Google Docs in Asana or like a Notion. You have to click a link that takes you to the Google Doc and then you can type within there. And so I've been looking for tools that allow me to do that. Monday.com.
Does it?
It allows you to do that. Yeah.
Okay.
But
do they have a free version?
Yes, but Monday is like pretty expensive.
Yeah.
I think like it's more expensive than Asana.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not, but depends on. But Asana is interesting to me that you use it because most people I've known use it for teams. Big teams.
Oh yeah, I've used it in a team environment when I was at Simmons Foods, and that was great. That's kind of where I learned the ins and outs of how to use it.
Yeah. Okay, so you moved to Fort Smith when?
Yeah, so I moved to Fort Smith in 2012.
Okay, and then you started your first LLC when?
July 2022.
Okay, so 2012, wow.
Yeah.
Okay,
so I've been working. Yeah, I've been working here. So I was at ArcBest, and then I went and worked at OK Foods.
Okay.
And then I went to work at Simmons Foods, and then the Fort Smith Public Schools.
Okay.
And then I had a very small remote tech job at a tech startup where I was just remote, fully remote, and everyone on the team was remote. And that's when I started that job. That's kind of when I thought, I think I want to go start my own business. And so I started making the plans for that.
So you went directly from school to then, you did a couple different jobs. Do you think that things would have been quite a bit different if you would have dove right in and did your own business? And how do you think it would have been different? Oh, man.
I think that all the experience that I have that I've, in those, 10 years essentially that I was gaining, I don't think I would be as successful as I am today without having that experience. I think I would have had to work 10 times harder to try to find clients and to just make a name for myself in my own space versus having the jobs that I had expose me to community and people within this community and building a brand and reputation for myself. And then when I was ready to go out on my own, all of that experience, but then the reputation and brand that I built for myself spoke for itself too, when I went out on my own.
And where's your husband from?
So he's also from Russellville.
Okay.
What's interesting is that he's 2 years older than me. We went to the same elementary school, same everything, high school. We walked the same halls when I was a sophomore and he was a senior. We didn't meet until college.
That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Because Russellville isn't that big.
No, it's not that big at all.
That's crazy. Okay, so the reason why I asked that is because how do you think things would have turned out if you would have not landed in Fort Smith and stayed in Russellville instead?
Right. So that's an interesting question. Following Corey to Fort Smith was just like the natural thing to do because, that's where he got the job and that's where I was going to go too. I don't know where we would have been, it really kind of maybe depended on where he got a job at. I could still be in Russellville, who knows? I don't know if I would have ventured out, to be quite honest, outside of Russellville if he had gotten a job in Russellville. I might have stayed there. When we moved to Fort Smith, it was like oh my gosh, wow, this is a really big city. Like, it was very big to us because, there were restaurants and a huge downtown compared to the town that we were coming from. So it was very exciting moving here because just of how big it was.
Yeah. So you were saying you're not sure that you would have ventured out if you stayed in Russellville.
Right.
Is that because of limitations of Russellville, or is that because of the opportunities of Fort Smith?
I'm not sure I would have ventured out of Russellville just because our families were there. So it's more like a familial tie to Russellville. And,
Oh, I understand. I
Yeah.
thought you meant venture out as in start your own business.
oh, yeah, I just meant like totally move out of
Okay.
Russellville.
What about start your own business? Do you think you would have if you stayed in Russellville?
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I think I probably would have just because I had already had the community connections there through my family and just kind of being more known in the community there.
Yeah. Okay. So then let's say then you're thinking back to that time. So 2012. So I guess we're in 2011 now. And you're starting your business now and you're in
Yeah.
Russellville, or you're over here and let's say you went through all the experience that you went through with jobs here. And so maybe like we're a little bit further in time, but you have that experience and you're starting in Russellville, you're starting in Fort Smith. What do you feel like Fort Smith has, rooting for you, maybe more so than if you would have stayed and started your business there at that time?
Yeah. So Russellville is a very small community, and Fort Smith, the opportunities to meet all types of different people would have been, to me, a lot more like exciting,
Yes.
to move into that. So I feel like that just in itself would have been the main reason why I would have wanted to even venture out of Russellville. It's just to be exposed to a broader type of people and community. What I've found here in Fort Smith is just like, I love the people that are here in this town. We're really good people who live here. And, coming from a small town, you just know everyone,
Yes.
and so there's excitement about meeting new people, and kind of Corey and I just got married. So it's like starting our family somewhere else. And, I really feel like for me, if I would have stayed in Russellville, I probably would have gone more on the social media side and of management.
Yes.
It's probably what I would have stayed with versus, what I'm doing today.
Yeah. So staying in your hometown and starting your business obviously allows you a community that is already associated with your name because they know
Right.
you,
'Cause they
right?
know you, right.
But it also comes with limitations. I feel like I know for me, trying to start my business in my hometown, you will get a lot of people because they know you before you were professional. They're
Yeah.
asking for handouts, right? So they're like, oh,
Right.
yeah, I need this work done, but can I get it for this price? Come on, we've known each other forever.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, we have known each other forever, but that shouldn't, this is professional work,
Agreed.
And so I
Agreed.
think there are some limitations that come with that. And there's obviously a bunch of other different things as well that come into that. If you get successful in your hometown, sometimes people, if it's a small hometown,
Right.
Fort Smith is different because it's big. So everything
Right.
I'm saying about is not really related to like a big town, but in small
Right.
towns, then people begin to associate you as thinking that you're better than them just because you're doing better
yeah.
than a lot of other people in the community,
Yeah.
which can also be another different hurdle, right? Because the
Right.
people in your community are your customers.
Right.
And so if they have this negative connotation about you,
Mm-hmm.
then that's literally negative, like bank account negative for your
Right.
business. And
Right.
so I think that sometime, while it is a good idea to stay, if you see the opportunity for growth in your hometown,
Right.
a lot of time it really is just healthy for you to get out and at least see for a little bit
Exactly.
where somewhere else could be, because you have this limited mindset, especially in different parts of Arkansas.
Right.
Like
Right.
the viewpoint and the vantage point of where they're looking at is so small where they don't really see, people don't really leave their town to even go out, very often. And I'm
Right.
like, what?
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
you don't go to Little Rock, you don't go to Northwest Arkansas. Nope, never been. And I've been here for 25 years.
Right.
You need to get out and go see
Yeah.
Arkansas. It's
Agreed.
pretty cool. You don't have to go to Hawaii to experience
Right.
nature. Like it's
Right.
right
It's
here.
right here. We're the natural state.
But like
Yeah.
a lot of people are too afraid because they have that narrow mindset.
Right.
And so that's why I really that's one of the biggest reasons why I promote college.
Yeah.
Because if you're coming from a small town, a lot of small towns don't have a lot of money in them. At least in Arkansas, we're a poverty state. And so the only way they're going to get out of town is if they go to school. And
Right.
for you, it's obviously a little bit different because
Yeah.
your school was in your town.
My school was right in my town.
But
Yeah.
I would say, obviously, most people don't have that unless we're talking about community college, which
Right.
nothing wrong with community college.
Right. 100%.
But going to school allows them the opportunity to get outside of that. And because they come from a small town, majority of the time, there are scholarships available,
Right.
different things like that. So that's a big reason why I recommend that. But for someone like yourself who was in a bigger town, what do you think about if you instead would have went directly to like some type of mentorship or apprenticeship opportunity instead of directly to school?
Like instead of going directly into college,
Do you think, yes, and I guess my question specifically is, do you think it could have shaved down some of those years of experience you say you felt like you needed after school before you started your business to be
before
successful?
I started. Yeah. So because whenever I graduated with my bachelor's, I didn't feel ready enough for the real world, and at the time when I entered into college, it was all about nursing. Like that's what I wanted to do. And there were some vocational options at my high school that I could have taken advantage of. But like today, you can go get an associate's degree. And I know that's what they're working out right now at Peak. Students can get an associate's degree while they're still in high school.
Yes.
I mean, we just didn't have that type of pathway. But I feel like, I needed, especially for what I was doing, I needed that real world experience to be able to really build my skill set. Not just the actual skill of marketing, but people and interacting with people and being in corporate world and then going to education world. It's different. There are a lot of different environments that I was put in, mainly corporate environment that, really kind of shape how you approach people, how you do your business, all of those things, and how you actually do the work of marketing. So it's very structured in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Okay. And so do you think that if you maybe would have went to like some type of trade school or apprenticeship, or you had more real world experience directly out of high school, you think you could have started your own, been prepared to start your own business sooner?
Yeah, under the right business owner. Like if I had the right mentor who was already doing that work and was training me up in that way, absolutely. I feel like I would have gained the confidence under one really strong mentor or, through an apprenticeship or something like that. And then I could have gone my own path. Absolutely. Okay. It may have been a lot more narrow in what I was doing though. So because if I would just come out of, high school knowing I wanted to do marketing, my path may have been a little bit more narrow as far as what what my skill set could be. I may have just focused in on websites or just focused in on social media.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I guess with that too, do you feel like at that time when you were graduating from high school in Russellville that there was someone a business in town that was local that could have been that for you, or did you really not notice anything?
I didn't really have that.
Okay. And what's interesting, I feel like, they have a school there, so obviously there were businesses there, but they weren't very publicized to students. And I think, I always kind of question the narrative they were pushing, like America is pushing to the citizens, right? So, because the only thing we hear about is college. Go to college, go to college.
Yeah.
But what about all the other opportunities?
Right.
Because college is the most expensive opportunity.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people are going to school and getting degrees that they're not using. Luckily, you use your degree.
Right.
You realized it while you were there and you switched. But what if you would have went all the way through nursing school and then decided you wanted to do marketing? I mean, that's a big deal.
It's like opposite ends, of the spectrum there. I feel like, nowadays, yes, like you have those opportunities. But, when I was in high school, college was kind of the path forward. That's how you went and did it. For me, and I had friends that would go into college and they wouldn't come out with a skill set. I guess I was just driven in a way of like, I need to know how to do X, Y, and Z. So like building WordPress sites.
Yes.
I taught myself how to build WordPress sites. No one taught me. I just started looking stuff up and thought, I want to go build websites. How do I go do this? Oh, this is how you go do this. And so in college, I started building websites for people, and so I think there's a mix of like, this is what you're being taught in college, but then what's driving you forward to grab all these different skills. And for me, it's just like self-motivation. I knew this is what I wanted to do, but I knew that I wanted to graduate with like all of these skills tacked on to what I can do so I can go get a job.
Yeah. Okay, so you started your business in 2022, but the journey for you really began around 2012, 20, maybe even sooner than that, because you switched your degree in college.
Yeah,
right?
so I switched my degree in college. What's interesting I waited a whole year after I started my business to announce it. So I was just kind of doing the work, and I really wanted to see, after I established my LLC, I waited until July of the next year, 2023, to do my ribbon cutting, because for me, I wanted to make sure that this was sustainable and that this is something I really wanted to do, and I felt confident that I could go do this, that I could, keep business flowing, that this is something that, and I always say, like, you never work harder than for yourself when you have your business. And I've never worked harder. I mean, I late nights and weekends, but it's fun. Like, I'm having so much fun. And that's what I lean into, is like, if I'm having fun, I get to be my own boss. My clients, they're the ones I'm serving, but I just love it. I love what I do. I didn't think entrepreneurship was for me, and then it happened, and I'm in it. I'm in it 100%, and I love it.
Yeah. So you're having a lot of fun now.
Yeah, having a lot of fun.
Throughout these whole years, what's maybe one of your biggest challenges that you face?
Yeah, just in work, you would say. I would say for me, the challenge is always trying to figure out, going through corporate, it was like, be good at this one thing. So I was in copywriting at ArcBest. So I just need to be good at copywriting and search engine optimization. Found a lot of success there. It was really fun, like to, see how my copy would make the company money, for people booking moving quotes. Moving into food manufacturing, I was working in internal communications, and then doing community relations at the school district. I was doing public information. And so, with all of those jobs, the challenge was I'm taking all of my skill set, but then I'm kind of funneling into one position, like one thing that I really need to be good at. And when I started my business, it was like the doors were wide open. You can do all of these things, and then you get to pick and choose which ones you want to actually go do and be a part of. So the biggest challenge for me into those roles, while I'm gaining that experience, it was also, I have this wide skill set. It was a challenge to not try to just use all of that. It was a challenge just to hone in. That's what I found to be a challenge, just honing in on one thing. Okay.
And so did you get that advice from just learning, or did you get that advice from someone?
About
honing in and lasering in on.
Yeah, I think it was more tied to the job position. So it was okay, so you're coming into this role, you need to be doing copywriting. So that copywriting doesn't mean.
Sorry, I meant did you know beforehand, before you started your business, that you were going to basically have to be this multitasker or this jack of all trades? Yeah. Or was that some advice that was given to you from someone who had their own business? Yeah. So that you had more insight before you started?
Yeah. No, I felt like I knew what I was good at, and that's just kind of what I wanted to do. It was kind of I knew I have all this skill set, so let me just go and open the doors and see which ones, happen. Now I'm doing social media management, but very, very little of it because of just how much time it takes to do that. And I'm finding that I really enjoy working with governments and municipalities and things like that. So it's ever changing on what I'm interested in. Started that Canva training because I love being in Canva. I love working in Canva. People are interested in being, using Canva. And that's the way that I found I can do training. So I've actually got a training coming up in Russellville because they're creating a co-working space in Russellville called Co-Create. And so so I'm partnering with the owner there, who happens to be my brother's childhood best friend. And he's now opening this business, and I'm going to go there and I'm going to do a Canva session because communities need it. And then I'm also doing them online.
Oh, that's super cool.
So, entrepreneurship allows you to explore your ideas, and you're the one having to put the power behind it, but you get the opportunity to explore it.
Yeah, for sure. So you say you went official in 2022, but you really started a year and a half before that. So within the last 3.5 years, what's one of your most proudest moments?
Yeah. Oh, that's a really good question. So I think one of my most proudest moments was that I was able to come in to my business and start working right away. Like, that is something that I feel like
you weren't sitting around.
I wasn't sitting around
waiting for work or clients. You had them.
I had them. And I feel like that all goes back to being involved in this community and making a name for yourself. But you have to put in the work. You have to put in the work through the relationships and, build that community around you. When I came to Fort Smith, I had a couple family members up here. When I was little, we would come up and see some family, but I didn't know anyone, and now I feel like I know a lot of people here in town, but that just goes back to being here and being active and being present in the community. And so for me, something I'm just super proud of for my business is that I was able to start right away and see success, and I know it didn't happen for everyone, but I really do credit that being a part of Fort Smith and being active in the community for that.
For sure. And I'll like kind of, tagline on the end of that. I mean, that's been the same for me too. When I first moved and I started this podcast, is marketing material to help grow my freelance business. And nowadays I'm not really focused on growing my freelance business, but I still continue to do this podcast just because it was so good for all the connections I was making so quickly. Like, I'm interviewing and I'm talking with people across the table from me who other business owners are like, man, I've been trying to get contact with this person for a very long time. How did you just now get in contact with them? It's because they saw the podcast and they're like, oh, I want to be a part of that.
Yes.
And I think having some type of element like that, right, that increases brand awareness immediately once you move somewhere can make the whole difference.
100%.
So for you worked within the community, but for others, it could just be them simply being involved and volunteering and being a part of where mass events are, so that you can spread your face, your name, not even your business name, but people can just begin to associate, this person with that town. And being able to do something like that. Or you can even start some type of marketing material like I'm doing with the podcast, which also helps. I think podcasts are great marketing pieces for businesses. I
agree.
Just to get the brand out, to get the message out, or just to become known.
Right.
If someone starts a podcast in a small town anywhere in Arkansas, people are going to begin to, everyone's going to eventually know that person does that.
That's it.
Especially in Arkansas, we have that opportunity because we're not Texas, right?
Right.
Start a podcast in Texas, good luck. In Dallas anyways, or in Austin. In Fort Worth. There's a lot already going on. But in Arkansas, we have the opportunity to reach further into our communities because there's not a lot of people in these cities. Fort Smith is pretty big, but even in the time that I've been here, I've met so many people already, and so many people are coming up and saying hello to me, and so I get to meet even more people who haven't even been on the show, which is such that's not normal for me being here under a year. So being able to have those opportunities is also something that I see is okay, the community cares. The community wants to connect and they want to come together and see something be successful. And even with that, I mean, with me coming and, going to different business meetings and stuff and saying, hey, I'm starting my own business, but I'm struggling when I first got here. I'm struggling to actually gain traction. There are so many business owners who were like, Joe for this, Joe for video, Joe for video, Joe for the video. And I've never experienced that before.
That's
these
amazing.
People owe me nothing. Amazing. I owe them nothing, but yet they still want to help. And it's all about the community here that makes that big difference. And I'm not saying anything bad about Northwest Arkansas. I'm really not. But all I am saying is that I'm not sure I would have had that same effect there.
I agree. I agree. There's something about here that people genuinely want to help you get connected in the community. As I started, being more out in the community after my job at ArcBest, that was amazing. I got to do leadership Fort Smith. I got to connect people in Fort Smith that I might not have ever connected with and gotten into the same room with. But then once they know you and they know what your skill set is, it's like, oh, well, I know Joe. Joe does video. let me
Yes.
connect you with Jill. I think I even sent you a text,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
like last week. It was like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm going to send
Yeah,
you this this text because someone's interested in some
Yeah.
video, you know, and that's just, to me, that's Fort Smith. You know,
Yes.
that's the way it goes. And I'm glad that you mentioned that you might not find that elsewhere, because it's true. I think that community and desire to connect is unique to Fort Smith.
Yeah, and people are humble, right? So like there are big businesses here
Mm-hmm.
that you may not think of Fort Smith as this big business mecca, but there really are a bunch of big businesses here. And when you meet the people, as I've been meeting the people at the
Yeah.
very, very top of these businesses, I would never think that, okay, that person owns this entire business or is the CEO of this entire. They're just so humble.
Down
They're
to
so
earth.
kind.
Yeah.
They treat you like it's like an interaction of like you're at church and you get up and you're walking out, you're just saying hello to people.
Yep.
It's that type of interaction. They're just people, and they're not driving these fancy cars.
Right.
They're not wearing these clothes. You don't feel like you're not similar to them.
Right.
You know, I've had the experience where I've been around very, very successful people. And I just feel like we're not even in the same room, even though we are.
Right.
You know, like
Right.
they put themselves up on such a high pedestal to where I feel like I can't go approach them. You know,
Right.
and that's not the same here. Like even the people who are successful, obviously they're busy, so maybe you're not just going to be able to get a cup of coffee with them.
Right.
But the times that I have been in a room with them, I'm like, whoa. Like this person is very human,
Right.
And I just had a very human-like experience, not something like this person who treats themselves like they're a god,
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
And I think that comes to show the humility overall that the city carries as well. Because seriously, I have not met any person like that since I've been here so far.
People are pretty open about like just sharing who they are.
Yes.
You know, like they're like just opening up and saying, you know, this is who I am. This is a little bit of my backstory, but like I'm a real person. I'm going to talk to you like a real person and not just like, you know, I'm untouchable, you know, or unrelatable.
Yes.
So,
What excites
I
you
agree.
about the future of your marketing business?
What was that?
What excites you about the future of your marketing business?
I think for me, just the unlimited possibility of it. So the Canva, I'm really excited about that because I'm building that brand, Canva with Christina, building that brand. The challenge that I have is that, you know, I'm pulled on different directions with client work.
Yes.
And so it's just carving out that time to build that side of the business that I know I want to build. But that really excites me because I love working Canva. I love teaching people how to do really cool things in Canva. And when someone says to me, like the other day, I was training someone, they had no clue what, like they've never opened Canva before. And I said, well, you set this hamburger icon. And it like clicked for them. They're like, oh, that does look like a hamburger. I'm going to click that icon and that's how I know how to get home. So when I see people have just like little aha moments, that brings me a lot of like happiness and joy because they're learning something that's going to better them, not just personally, but like a lot of people I'm working with are learning Canva for their profession to better develop professionally. And so if I get to be a part of that, like awesome. You know, it makes me feel really good.
Have you went online yet with the Canva workshop?
Yeah, so I've done some workshops online.
Okay.
And those have gone really well. So I'm just trying to, you know, record, put those online, but then also make sure that my content is fresh. Like I'm not going to have anything out there that like, you know, was passed from the Canvas glow up. You know, I want to have things that on my content that are useful now and not outdated.
What about YouTube? Have you been putting it up on YouTube?
So I've been doing some YouTube shorts with my Canva, TikTok, YouTube.
You should do long form on YouTube.
You think some
Oh
long
yeah, I
form?
do very well.
Okay.
There are people who like specify on like Squarespace, right?
Okay.
So there's a lot of girls, ladies who I've seen do this actually because I watch them. There's like Squarespace Gail. That's like her name, but she will do like tutorials and she will do videos on, okay, Canva just announced a big new update.
Right.
Here's what's
Here's going on.
And basically what that has offered these people the opportunity to do is partner directly with the brand. And so now they have like every video sponsored, right?
Yeah.
And so
That's cool.
Basically what those agreements look like normally is like the company will say, hey, you know, we really like your work. We want to support you doing more of these tutorials for this because obviously it only promotes our company and our product. So what we want to do is have you put the link in the description, which you probably already do.
Yeah.
And we really want to pay you to continue to make at least 5 of these a month.
Right.
And those deals look like, I mean, they could be the $4,000. They could be like $30,000. I mean,
Right.
it's all over the place.
Right.
But you get to do what you love. And now you have enough revenue coming in from that side of the business that you can actually focus some attention there and be like half Canva and half like freelance.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is cool. And I've done.
We'll take you up on that
that's
idea.
Basically, I do a little. That's what I've done for the past years.
Okay.
But I cut it off because I wanted to be more involved with the community.
Right.
So it is that
About like the balance.
the balance of what you want to do.
Yeah.
But with social media work like that, it's nice because you can always just turn it back on if you've done it before. You have those brand connections. So that's really cool.
Being a solopreneur, you're just one. You're a team of one. And I do contract with other people, but at the end of the day, I'm just one person. And it's trying to figure out that balance is like, I feel like that's the biggest challenge. Is figuring out the balance and, being a mom and, having a family and making sure that you get, like I said, I've never worked harder, but I also need to make sure that I have, the downtime that I need to deliver the best work to my clients.
Yeah. Okay, so a couple last questions here. So one, what are the type of clients that you work with or that you would like to work with? Yeah,
so I love working with, municipalities, governments, and my school districts. So those type of clients, I enjoy working with them because the support that I can provide them is ongoing. So it's media statements, it's writing press releases, it's all of the ins and outs of what they're having to do on a daily basis that I just get to come in and kind of just, give a little relief to.
Yes.
I also really enjoy working with business owners and business leaders. So even I'm, doing some LinkedIn training for executives. And because people want to build their brands on LinkedIn. So I will come in and I will train your team on how to update your LinkedIn profile so that you can build a better brand on LinkedIn. Here's how you make a newsletter on LinkedIn. Here's the type of content you should be reposting to LinkedIn as an executive. Yes. So I'm looking for, those type of clients as well, where I can do a lot of that training and then helping business owners and business leaders with their websites. Sometimes I worked with a guy that he was planning to leave his corporate job. He was pretty high up in it to go do his own consulting work. And so we planned for a whole year on trying to get this, put this plan in place for his business. Got his branding, website, everything ready to go so that when he put his resignation in, he'd finish out that job and he'd hop right into it. I even got his project, his systems on the back end ready. So he started that, hopped right in, had his LinkedIn ready to go. He was getting bombarded with new work for his consulting.
Yes.
Then he found a company approached him, said, I'll pay you, I think it's $175,000. I'll pay you $175,000. You sit at home, remote, and you do this job. And by the way, you can keep your consulting business too. It's fine. So now he gets to do both.
Yes.
And he's living the good life. And the fact that I got to help him make that transition to where he's got a better balance for himself and he's making good money and doing what he wants. I love that. That is awesome to me.
Yes,
and that's the type of work people that I want to help support. So if you have a vision that maybe you're not happy in your job or you want to move into consulting yourself, I'll help you get there.
Yes.
We'll kill it.
Yeah. And so where can people go if they want to be a part of what you're doing?
Yeah. So you can just go to my website, ChristinaWilliamsConsulting.com, and I have a form there, my email address. Just shoot me an email and we'll set up a consultation. And kind of in the consultation, I just kind of ask you, what do you got going on? What do you want to do? And then we go from there. I put together a plan for you and then we agree and then we're off to work.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thanks so much, Joe. I really appreciate the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.